because I was like, I bet it'll be 8 o'clock now that the time changed last night.
Well, better that than 6 a.m. So, okay, so you were born rich, baby. How we get?
Well, I finished reading all of chapter 3, so hopefully tonight I get to start reading on chapter 4.
Yeah.
My workbook I got to reprint off because I wanted to do chapter 3 in the workbook. That way I'd be caught up with each other as I read. I can move forward with both at the same time. But I'm going to have to print that today because I don't know what I do with my copy. I think I left it on the hotel bed. The other day I'd taken it in with me.
Did you print a copy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of the workbook.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the same. I've got I went to the printers and actually got it bound into a book. Mm-hmm. So it didn't cost. It only cost like $3 or $4 to get it bound up.
Okay, I need to see if they could do that, like at Staples or something around here, Office Depot.
Yeah, that's where I went, Staples.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know they could do that. Yeah, because that's pretty thick.
Yeah. So I place a lot of value in the book. I've got with the Thinking into Results program as well. That's falling to pieces. I've read it so much, but there's really a lot of value in actually having the book and looking at it on a regular basis. So definitely worth getting it printed into a book. We're doing chapter 4 today, aren't we?
Yes.
We're doing chapter 4 today. So hang on a second. I'm going to share my screen with you so we get started. A lot of pages up here for some reason. Share. And then let me know if you're... There you go. You should be seeing the screen now. Seeing my screen. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
I do.
Okay. So I'm just going to I've taken... These are kind of my notes, that like my key takings from this chapter. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go through these notes I've got here that I've taken, but I want to go on to Think and Grow Rich, the chapter on faith, on Think and Grow Rich, rather than the Let Go and Let God, because they're both the same thing, really. They're both talking about the same thing. And for me personally, the Think and Grow Rich is more powerful on this chapter. So he says here, make up your mind to read this chapter over and over 100 times if necessary, until you feel deep inside that you really comprehend the idea being expressed. If you fail to grasp the idea presented in this chapter, the rest of the book will be of little value to you. So, let go, let God. I think we're okay here. With what we've talked about before, we can use the term God, right, when we're talking about all of this stuff, as in the infinite creator, the source of the universe, life, spirit. So when he talks about spirit, I've just written this in here, like the power. I've got a description of this, which I really like. And it was described, spirit was described as the power which gives life and movement to anything. In fact, it's that which causes it to exist at all. So everything you see in the universe, yourself included, is nothing but an expression of an infinite power. And this power is forever flowing into you and through you. So we're talking about God here, basically, being ever present in all places at all times. That power that operates in a very precise manner, which is generally called laws. We talked about those laws earlier. We can have another look at them at another point. The image that you have formed can only come to you on the physical plane of life, i.e. your results, in one way, and that is by law and through faith. So this chapter here is really all about faith and the role that faith plays in how we manifest anything into our life. Faith's the ability to see the invisible, believe the incredible, and that's what enables believers to receive what the masters think that is impossible. He says that if a person will let go and let God, i.e. have faith, whatever must happen for them to achieve their goal will indeed occur, all things become possible. So I'm just going to stop that for a minute. and I'm going to hand over to you. So I want you to talk to me about faith a little bit, and about what it means to you and what role it plays in your life.
Yeah, like the more I read and just get deeper into this, I feel like the stronger my faith becomes,
Yeah.
and just knowing, I mean, like you said, just how far I've come already.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more I'd like to see manifest and happen by far, but I know that seed has to be planted and it have time to manifest as well.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's coming, it's going to happen. Just have to have faith in that. So
yeah, faith and belief and expectancy are really, well, faith, belief and expectancy are all really the same thing. Because if you're expecting something to happen, then you have belief that it's going to come to fruition, don't you? So that is a belief, that's a faith that something's going to pass. Belief is belief, and faith really is belief. Having faith that whatever is going to happen is belief. So for all of this that we're talking about, it really comes down to this really basic, simple principle that faith is a bona fide power of the universe. It's faith is the elixir that gives life and brings life into everything, and without it, nothing can happen. Nothing can be created, and it's one of those things that's like he talks about it, and we'll look at that in a minute. He talks about like faith is in operation all the time, either in a positive way or a negative way. You're either expecting and believing something to happen in a negative way, or you're expecting it to happen in a positive way. And that's a choice that we can once we develop a level of consciousness and awareness around this, and how our mind is working, we can decide to put our faith into the good things, and we can decide to put our expectancy and our belief into the good things and expect them to come good for us, rather than focusing on our current situations and past events and expecting them not to really work out for us. So let me come back into here quickly. I do want to go through these notes really, really quickly. So he said, I'd go as far to say that whatever you accomplish in your lifetime will be in direct proportion to the intensity and persistence of your faith. So although spirit is the very essence of your being, it will never move into form or into an image without your assistance. You have to take action. And it's your enthusiastic attitude will cause your actions to change, and you'll start to behaving differently. Not only will you act differently, but you'll be, because of the new vibration that you're in, because when you change your attitude, you change the way that you feel. And we know that the feeling is creating our vibration. You'll begin to gravitate towards and to attract to you other like-minded people. Strange and wonderful things will begin to happen to you, and with such regularity that you'll be at a loss to explain or even comprehend what is going on. So it doesn't really go into it this much in this program, but I think it's a good idea to talk a little bit about it. He talks about attitude, and attitude is actually, let's stop it again. Why don't you tell me?
Yeah, attitude's everything, because if you're having a negative attitude and you're lowering yourself on that lower vibration, where that negative energy is, you're drawing all that negativity to you. So it's important that you have a positive attitude, and like you were just saying a while ago, just look at the positive things, because you want to be in that higher vibration. You want to be drawing like-minded people. You want to be drawing the positive around.
So what makes a good attitude?
So being thankful for what you do have, being thankful and grateful. Yeah. That's always great to be able to stop where you are and to be thankful and grateful, because sometimes, it's hard to find that light in the darkness, if you're down and out that day or going through something in life at that time. So it's just trying to stay focused on that positive, finding it wherever it may be, is the big thing to me as far as attitude goes. And just as far as trying to be a light unto others and just to be positive and to encourage others instead of breaking them down and being negative. It's important to love others as well as yourself.
Yeah. So you're talking really there about your outlook, aren't you? Like the way that you approach kind of your daily situations, like every moment that you're faced with during a day, the way that you actually approach that, the way that you deal with it, and the way that you internalize it. Are you there, Agatha?
And I feel like it's up to us. We choose to have good attitude, or yes, I feel like we no matter what happens throughout the day, to have a good attitude or a bad attitude about whatever it is. Yeah. Can you hear me, Corey?
You're breaking up a lot.
Oh, it's cutting out. I don't know if it's okay. I see you moving now.
Yeah, I don't want to stop it. I don't want to stop it because I've just got a FaceTime call that's come up on my computer. That's, I think, upset everything.
Yeah, so it's working now. But yeah, you were frozen there for a few.
Yeah, you're frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay, and I can see and hear you now.
Okay, you're still stuck for me. Okay. Can you hear me? If I share my screen with you, can you?
I can.
Okay, good. So, everybody always decides they're going to call me when I'm in the middle of doing a call with people. So here we go. So here's my definition of attitude and why it's so important. Okay, your attitude is comprised of three elements. It's comprised of your thoughts in the conscious part of your mind, your feelings in the subconscious part of your mind, and your actions in your body. So it's the composite of the three elements of the way that you of your mind and your body. And a good attitude is when we create a harmony between the three, so that your thoughts are in harmony with the way that you feel and the beliefs that you have, and that the action that you're taking is constructive and productive towards creating the results that you want. And when that happens, you end up creating really powerful actions that are going to move you towards the results that you want to get, and that's in any area of your life. For me, I would say a bad attitude is when, if you're trying to achieve something, if there's a certain area that you want to improve in your life, or a certain result that you want to get, and you've got the idea here in the conscious part of the mind, but you haven't done the work at the subconscious level to create the beliefs and the faith and the ideas that are in harmony with that, we know that the body's going to move into action based on the way that you feel. It's going to move into action based on what's going on here in the subconscious part of the mind. And what happens is you end up moving into action in harmony with this rather than the goal. And the action that you take doesn't necessarily lead you towards the results that you want, because it's correlating with the way that you feel in the subconscious part of the mind. So a good attitude, and what ends up happening there is we end up in conflict, because you know what you want, but you're not getting the results, and it causes a little bit of frustration and confusion. It moves you into that kind of vibration, and it makes moving forward really difficult. So a good attitude is exactly what you've said. It's like staying focused and positive and looking for the best, because that's what we want to be doing, but it's also being really clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve, and doing the inner work to create the belief at the subconscious level that you can actually have that you're worthy of that, and that you're able to achieve that, and that it can be a part of your life. And that's the role that, I'm going to stop this a second. That's the role that faith plays in this, because it's the faith that creates the belief. When you come from a place of true faith in your life, then you just have an utter belief that it's going to happen. And when you can get to that place, then everything starts to move forward with a lot less resistance. Does that make sense? Can you hear me, Agatha? Agatha?
I think it's trying to cut out a little bit again.
Shall I stop it and start
makes
again?
sense. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part.
Shall I stop it and start again, or should we try and work through it?
Yeah, I can hear you well enough to where I think we'll be okay. It's just every now and then it'll cut out a word or two. I'll let you know if it does.
Okay. So it's faith that's playing the transformational role in all of this, in creating success in your goals, improving relationships, finances, health, wealth, prosperity, all of this kind of stuff. It's faith that's playing the transformational role. It's the faith that's taking this image that we create in the conscious part of the mind that we've talked about last week or the week before, with getting clear on your goal and creating the image. It's the faith that transmits that impresses that into the subconscious part of the mind. And it's the subconscious part of the mind that is your direct communication with God. That's the connecting part of us that keeps us, that does the communication. So what I'm going to do is share the screen again. We're going to have a look at, this is up on your screen, yeah?
Yes.
So we're going to have a look at this chapter on faith from Napoleon Hill, which is from Think and Grow Rich, which I absolutely love this. And I've put this into the folder for you, so you'll be able to get a copy of this. So visualization of and belief in attainment of desire. And this is the second step in his 13-step formula. So what I've done is gone through and highlight some of the key points to talk about today. So he says that faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. So it's the faith that's going to carry this message to this desire to God. When it says in the Bible, ask and ye shall receive, this is how we do it. We decide what we want and we ask by faith. The mixing or blending of these three emotions, which is love, faith, and sex, has an effect of opening a direct line of communication between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence, which we're calling God. Sorry. This has gone to... I'm trying to keep this nice and... Okay, we'll do it like this. Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instruction to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion, which is repeating the same thing over and over again, which is what we've talked about when you're writing out your goal, when you're like doing your visualization, continually repeating the same thing will create the state of faith. Repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntarily developing the emotion of faith. All thoughts which have been emotionalized, i.e. given feeling, and mixed with faith, begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent or counterpart. The emotions or feeling portion of thoughts are the factors which give thoughts validity, life, and action. And the emotions of faith, love, and sex, which are the strongest of the positive emotions, when mixed with any thought impulse, give it greater action than any of these emotions can do singly. In this statement, you will understand that the subconscious mind will translate into its physical equivalent a thought impulse of a negative or destructive nature just as readily as it will act upon the thought impulses of a positive or constructive nature. This accounts for the strange phenomenon which so many millions of people experience, referred to as misfortune or bad luck. So they're bringing they're bringing bad luck upon themselves because what they're doing is becoming emotionally involved with their ideas, which is creating a state of faith, delivering that to the subconscious mind, and then it's expressed in their experience. There are millions of people who believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because of some strange force over which they believe they have no control. They are the creators of their own misfortunes because of this negative belief, which is picked up by the subconscious mind and translated into its physical equivalent. Your belief or faith is the element which determines the actions of your subconscious mind. There is nothing to hinder you from deceiving your subconscious mind when giving it instructions through autosuggestion, as I deceive my son's subconscious mind, to make this deceit more realistic. Conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing which you are demanding when you call upon your subconscious mind. So, talk to me a little bit about that.
But one thing, like when you're reading, okay, that it makes sense as far as the subconscious mind. And he says sometimes we have to, I guess, kind of trick our subconscious mind into we got to get rid of the old beliefs and get those new ones instilled in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's as much as I can say about it. The rest of it, I guess, this is a little new to me, this chapter.
Yeah. Well, it's in John, isn't it? He says, "Be renewed by the transforming of your mind." This is what he's talking about. That the let's take the subconscious mind as our connection with God. We're all connected to God. Everything is connected to God. It all comes from one place and is one thing. And it's the subconscious part of the mind that is our connection with God. And it says, it's written 100 times in 100 places, ask and you shall receive. And it says there that whatever you give to your subconscious mind in a state of belief or faith, you will receive. This is when we start to take this information and we look at it as a psychological process, then we can actually start to take these teachings and put them into practical application. So let me just share the screen again with the diagram here. Mr. Stick Person. So this is what we looked at before, where the average person is starting here, present results dominating your thoughts. So we take our present results, and what that does is create an image in the mind. We get emotionally involved in that image. We make all sorts of negative predictions about things that haven't happened. We worry about things. We get angry, frustrated, confused. Those emotions impress that thought into the subconscious mind, and that idea is then expressed or re-expressed to arrive here. When you take control of your thoughts and you ask with purpose, you don't allow your current results to affect your thinking. You turn your back on your current results and you originate a prosperous thought, the idea that you want to see manifested in your life. This is where you're going to ask. By continually entertaining that idea and continually rejecting what your physical senses are presenting to you. And by continually doing that with faith through positive emotions, through you know, he says here, what is it? The three strongest emotions are love, faith, and sex. And you could say joy, happiness, all of these kind of, like, when you emotionalize this idea here with positive emotions, with positive feelings, that is impressed into the subconscious mind, and at that point you've put the order into the universe, or to God, or to infinite intelligence, or however you want to describe it. As soon as it's accepted in this part of the mind, that's your direct connection to creation, and it's created. Ask and you shall receive. That it becomes a new result in your life. Given a period of gestation, like anything, you plant a seed and it takes time for it to grow. But as long as you continually hold the idea in the conscious mind, you stay emotionally involved with it. And this is what he's saying when he talks about we can play a legitimate trick on the subconscious mind. There's nothing to hinder you from deceiving your subconscious mind when giving it instructions, because it doesn't know any different. As to make this deceit more realistic, conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of that which you are demanding. What you're doing is moving yourself into this new place in space and time ahead of it actually manifesting. What you're doing is the work on a spiritual level. Through prayer and belief, you're communicating with spirit, which is the starting point of creation. The spirit is creation. And when you do that, this happens by law, and by law, it can't be changed. And this is what John said is, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word is God, and the Word became flesh. The Word is the ideas, what you're telling yourself in your conscious mind. And what you tell yourself becomes flesh, because what you're doing is communicating with spirit. And you're either doing this in a positive way, making a conscious decision how you want your life to be and what you want to experience in your life, and emotionalizing that and having faith and belief and expectancy in the spirit that it's going to come to fruition, or you're operating the doom-fulfilling cycle where you allow your five senses to dominate your thoughts, and you go through exactly the same process. The choice is yours. You either choose what you want and you ask intelligently for it, or you don't choose what you want and you ask unintelligently for it anyway. And when you do this first one here, where we allow the senses to control our emotions and our thoughts, we're guaranteed. It's like in Job, in the book, he quotes Job and he says, behold, the thing I fear has come to visit me. Well, it was no surprise. And he goes on to say after that, if you worry, you're guaranteed not to worry in vain. Because what you're doing is creating an image of worry in the conscious mind. You're getting emotionally involved with it, and what that is doing is impressing it into the subconscious mind. That's sending a telegram straight to God, straight to spirit, straight to the universe to say, this is what I want. And the Almighty Creator said to us in the beginning, ask and you shall receive. It's my Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom. Tell me what you want and I'll give it to you. And that's it. We get what we want in that. We get what we ask for. We don't always get what we want because we operate in ignorance to this law and this understanding. So, and to me, that's amazing. That's just like something I want to share with the whole world. I'm like, you are the creator of the universe, of your own universe. You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the ocean in a drop.
And it's really cool how we can manifest things like that. But yeah, I mean, our faith is, I mean, yeah, that's everything right there. I mean, just, you know, I look back to my daughter being in the hospital and she could have died. And, you know, I'm bad, you know, and a lot of us are bad about like having faith in something or wanting to, you know, give it to the universe.
Yeah.
And then want to take it back, you know? So having to learn to let go and just have complete faith can be hard in itself at times. But like when she was in the hospital, that's something I had to do. I mean, it's like I just had to know she was going to be okay. And, you know, she was. She come out with her leg and still alive. And, you know, she's so, and I really believe that it was because of the faith I had. I mean, most people in the state she was in, when they're septic like that and with that gash on her leg, she would have like lost her leg if not their life.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people go septic and don't make it. I mean, it's so dangerous. So, you know, that right there really, that was another time when, since, you know, I started on this, just that really got my wheels turning upstairs, you know, as far as, oh, wow, you know, that worked.
Yeah. It's a knowing, isn't it? Faith's a knowing. It's like you just know. And the more that, all of this stuff that we talk about here is capable of proof, but you can only prove it to yourself by actually doing. When you do this, and you see it come to fruition, when you actually see the word turn to flesh, and you know that you originated it in your mind, then you know that it's real. You know that, and that just strengthens your belief in your faith. And I think it brings you, I'm not a religious person at all in any way, but since I've really started to dig into all of this and start to learn it and start to put it into my own life, it's just led me closer and closer and closer to the belief that there's an omnipotent God that loves us, and that everything that was taught to us through the teachings of these crazy old guys in the Bible is actually just such profound wisdom. It's like it's all been given to us. Like all of the personal development movement that started in the 60s came from the Bible. They took it and put it in a way that you know, I read them. You read the modern books, and then you go back and you look at where those books came from, and then I read those books, and I went back and looked at where those books came from, and it left a paper trail that went all the way back to Galilee. And then I started to read that, and I'm like, oh my God, all of this stuff.
What I find fascinating is that not just in the Bible, but in the Quran and all these other books, it's their own version of the Bible. And a lot of it, I mean, yeah, you have your other stuff, but as far as like the Quran and a lot of these, you know, in Buddhism, a lot of their main book they go by in the stories, even though it may be different people or different names, the stories are lining up. They're the same.
Yeah, because the world was created by law, and the law is God. It's created by these immutable, unchangeable laws, and they can't be changed. So there can't be 10 different explanations. There can be 10 different explanations of the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're all...
And that's why you're talking about you've never been a religious person. Now, and you're still not, Corey. It's, you know, that's what so many people's problem is they're caught up in being religious instead of just being spiritual and just being connected with Him.
Enlightened. God is the light. Everything is of the light. It's enlightened to be of the light. The more enlightened you become, the closer to the light.
And I do, and that's where I feel like I am and what I'm working on is I feel like it's been an awakening that I've been enlightened, and just to move forward toward that more and more each day, to knowing more and understanding it more.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing as well. Like every day I feel more love and more joy and more happiness, because I'm like, it's hard to believe sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, there's this God, and it's me, and it's you, and it's all of us. It's just like blows my mind. It's difficult to comprehend. I'm like, well, there's this God and he loves us so much that he's given us anything that we want. He's put us on this planet, or this power has put us on this planet to have any experience that we want. And not only that, he's given us an instruction manual on how to use it and how to do it. But it's become so lost and caught up in virus codes that we've become completely lost.
Yeah, and most people, they wouldn't fathom this idea or concept at all.
No,
I mean, it would just immediately be rejected because of their mindset and where they're at and how they grew up.
Yeah, and where they are. This is like Bob Proctor says in the book. The first thing when you become enlightened by this, when you realise this, the first thing you're going to want to do is tell everybody, and they're all going to think you're crazy. And most of them are not going to understand what you're saying, and they're all going to tell you that you're crazy. But it's interesting as well that let's go back to here. When I was looking for this chapter to give to you, there was a section in this chapter about Christianity that has been removed from the more recent editions of the book, which I thought was quite interesting. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll just go through this a little bit more. So it says, all down the ages, the religionists have admonished struggling humanity to have faith in this and that and the other dogma or creed, but they have failed to tell people how to have faith. They have not stated that faith is a state of mind and that it may be induced by self-suggestion. And then he says, faith is the external elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Faith is the elixir that brings your thoughts to life. If you don't emotionalize your thoughts, if you don't operate from a point of faith, then your thoughts are just stillborn. And he says the foregoing sentence is worth reading a second, third, fourth time. It's worth reading aloud. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches. It's the basis of miracles and all mysteries which cannot be analysed. It's the only known antidote for failure. It's the element, the chemical, which is, when mixed with prayer, gives one direct communication with infinite intelligence. It's the element that will transform the ordinary vibration of thought created by the finite mind of man into its spiritual equivalent. And this is what we have to do. If we want to become conscious creators, which is what we want to do. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to have some control over your destiny. We have to turn the thoughts that we create into their spiritual equivalent so that they can be transmitted to infinite intelligence. And faith is the only agency through which a cosmic force of infinite intelligence can be harnessed. Every one of the foregoing statements is capable of proof. It's simple and easily demonstrated, and it's wrapped up in the principle of autosuggestion. So he says, it's a well-known fact that one finally comes to believe whatever one repeats to oneself, and that is true, whether the statement be true or false. If a man repeats a lie over and over, he will eventually accept the lie as truth. Moreover, he will believe it to be truth. Every man is what he is because, or she, every woman, because of the dominating thoughts that they permit to occupy their mind. Thoughts that are mixed with any of the feelings of emotion constitute a magnetic force which attracts from the vibrations of the ether other similar or related thoughts. So a thought thus magnetized with emotion may be compared to a seed which, when planted in fertile soil, germinates, grows, and multiplies itself over and over again, until which originally one small seed becomes countless millions of the same brand. So this is key here. It's like you plant apple seeds, you're going to get apple trees. You plant oak seeds, you're going to get acorns, you're going to get oak trees. You plant a pile of shit in your mind and you're going to get a pile of shit in your life. You plant love, joy, happiness, abundance, wonder, beauty in your life, in your thoughts, and that's what's going to be reflected in your life. So from the great storehouse of the ether, which is the unseen power of God, the human mind is constantly attracting vibrations which harmonize with that which dominates the human mind. Any thought, idea, or plan or purpose which one holds in one's mind attracts from the vibrations of the ether a host of its relatives to its own force and grows until it becomes the dominating, motivating master of the individual whose mind it has been housed in. So this is why the auto-suggestion and the repetition, and this is why we say write your goal on a card and look at it every day, multiple times. Get yourself a journal and write out your goal every day. Focus on your goal as often as you can during the day, because what you're doing is you're creating the dominating force in your mind. If you're focused on what you want and you're consciously choosing that, that's what you're going to start to attract. With that repetition, with the constant engagement with the idea, you finally come to believe it as a truth. If you want to be a millionaire, just keep telling yourself that you're a millionaire, but you have to tell yourself with belief and faith that you can be and that you will be. You have to believe that it's possible. It's no good to say, I'm a millionaire, I've got a successful business, and you don't believe it. When you have faith in the power of God, in the power of creation, you go, well, my faith will make it so. My faith will make it so. My faith will heal my daughter. It's like we said last week, whatever, when Jesus was touching the people to heal them, it wasn't him that was healing them. It was their faith in his ability to heal them.
And you're right. And like that, years ago, I was working at a place third shift and a deer hit me. And I don't know, like I had to get out of the car and everything. And I was standing there. I don't know, like around that time and even that day, I just had this feeling that I'm a healer, that's my gift, is being a healer. And it's like, and but it's really believing that. I didn't believe it at the time. It was like, okay, like, how is that going to happen? How can I do that? It's like, I wanted to believe it, but I didn't really know how to. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. But in the years, moving forward, it's like, that's why it's so great to see, this purpose being unfolded in front of me as far as what I want to do. It's like, and now that all this has come together, it's like, wow, this is how I'm going to do that. This is how I'm going to help the others. And it's so cool to see it coming together.
Well, here's the cool thing, and here's what faith and belief does for you, is when you can operate from a place of unquestioning faith, you realize that you've got God on your team. So you don't have to realize how it's going to happen, because you've got the creator of the entire universe on your team. And he does know, or it does know, or she does know how it's going to happen, because it creates everything. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to know why it's going to happen. And why it's going to happen for you is because you know that you're a healer and that's your purpose. That's all you need. You need to focus on that. Have belief, faith, and expectancy that it's going to happen, and take action. Because God can't do for you what he can only do through you. Creator means distributor. We have to look at ourselves as distributors of a divine power. The way that the physical world is expanding and growing and manifesting now is through us. Everything that exists in the world of man first existed in the mind of man or woman. So the way that the physical plane moves forward and grows and expands is through you. you're a distributor of this divine energy, of this creative power, this creative force. All you have to do is decide in what way you want creation to move forward, what you want your role in creation to be. And we've all got different roles. My role is to help people like you to be able to fulfill your role. And your role is to help people. You've decided that your role is to help people to heal themselves, or whatever it is. And when you make that decision to do that, and you know with certainty, and you have belief and faith that it's going to happen, then everything falls into place for you. All of the opportunity that you need for that to happen is going to come your way. But it can't happen just like that. It has to happen by you taking action. For example, I'm trying to grow this business, helping people like you to be really huge, successful business. Because I want to reach as many people as I can, and I love doing this. I love talking about this stuff, and I love helping people. But you couldn't have become a client unless I'd reached out to you and made an effort to extend my hand to you. But what was given to me, you weren't given to me directly, you were given to me by connecting with me on LinkedIn. And through my action, I reached out to you, and I took action, and I sent you an email, and I followed up with you, and I got on a phone call with you, and I followed up with you, and you became a client. That happened through a divine sequence of events, but it required my participation in the game to make it happen. If I'd have just sat here and gone, God, give me a business, you'd have gone, Corey, I can't do that. You can't expect me to do for you what I can only do through you. I can give you all the...
I've tried, oh my gosh, even before fully understanding this, that's something I've always believed. And it's so frustrating, especially, I don't know over there how it is over here in America with, all these Christians. And I say that with quotation marks, but a lot, you have different types of Christians, and there's a large group though that it is, especially older ones, that it's like, okay, well, I just have complete faith in him and leave it to him and just sit there and don't do anything. And then they expect to see results, and then they get upset or, down when they don't. And it's like, you're failing to realize that he gives us the mind and sense to know what to act on and do. You yes, faith is great and all, but you've got to take action as well.
These are the people that want to get a great body without going to the gym. These are the people that want to have a great body and then they eat 4 quarter-pounder burgers every day at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And go, Christ our Lord, like, I love Jesus, he loves me. Well, that's just being lazy. That's not, it's like he said earlier, that that we've been taught this throughout the religionists have taught us throughout the ages to have faith, but they never taught us how to have faith. They just told us we have to. And this is the section here that has been removed from the latest, like the later edition that I don't know if you can see. I've got the Think and Grow Rich here, which is a later edition, which is kind of my study version. And then my girlfriend bought me like a really nice like leather-bound edition for Christmas, which is amazing. And then I'm looking at this from the original text, and this passage here has been removed from the later versions. And it says, if you wish evidence of the power of faith, study the achievements of men and women who have employed it. And at the head of the list comes the Nazarene. Christianity is the greatest single force which influences the minds of men. The basis of Christianity is faith. No matter how many people have perverted or misinterpreted the meaning of this great force, and no matter how many dogmas or creeds have been created in its name which do not reflect its tenets, the sum and substance of the teachings and achievements of Christ, which may have been interpreted as miracles, were nothing more or less than faith. If there are any such phenomena as miracles, they are produced only through the state of mind known as faith. Some teachers of religions and many who call themselves Christians neither understand nor practice faith. So that was removed from the later editions, which I can understand why they did, but this is exactly what you're saying, isn't it? It's that.
Yeah, they don't fully understand it.
You neither understand nor practice it. What we do have to understand is that we're an individualized reflection of God. Every single one of us, there is only one mind in the entire universe, and that is the mind of God. And we are all individualized expressions of that mind. God doesn't exist outside of us. He is us. He exists within us. We are God. We're an individualized expression of God. We're one fragment of that infinite power. We're one distributor of that creative force. And these guys and these women and men in America that you're talking about, and not just in America, but all over the world, that turn to religion and don't understand it, they look to, and it's not their fault, it's through dogma and creed, through centuries of misinformed information, they're told to worship a statue, to worship a cross, to worship a symbol, to worship like Jesus. Like what is Christ consciousness? The way to my Father is through me. I'm talking about inside of you, talking about your consciousness, your awareness. Your awareness of Jesus is your awareness of being. Once you become aware that this infinite power, that this Father, this God, whatever you want to call it, is a part of you, it exists within you, then you no longer have to look outside of yourself. All these people that say, let my prayers be answered, they will for eternity go unanswered, because they're looking in a place where it doesn't exist. The power doesn't exist outside of you. It's inside.
And it says too, the only way to my Father is through me, that He is in all of us. So that tells you right there, through yourself, through He in you.
Yeah. Come on, how simple is this? You can take these words literally. If look, like I study Neville Goddard all the time. Like, I've got 17 hours of him on Audible, and he said, "What if the Bible was not meant to be symbol? What if we were to take it literally? What if these stories were literal? What if we approach it from this way? And what if we approach it as a psychological drama?" And he talks about all of this stuff, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's like the way, the way to my Father is me, is through me. I don't deny that the historical events that happened in the Bible happened. I'm sure they did. But this is the book of God. It's like, it has multiple dimensional meanings. It can be a historical document if you want it to be, but it's also a handbook on how to live your life and how to operate in harmony with these natural laws that are creating the universe. And it's my Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom. My friend, I was talking to my friend in Canada. He's into internet marketing, and I was chatting to him about that. And he said, I was reading this chapter, and he gave it to me, and he said that it said, let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be known unto God. This is how we do it. It's a be careful for nothing. It doesn't say ask. It said ask in humility, ask with thanksgiving, but it doesn't say ask like a church mouse. And you can have anything you want. You can be anything you want. When you're calling up on the storehouse of the infinite, you can't ask for too much. There's no limit to what you can have. The caveat is that you're going to need money to do it. And with that, there's only two ways to legitimately earn money. One is through service and one is through products. So if you want to have a lot, you're going to have to create amazing service. If we work on the basis of service, the more service that you create, the more service that you provide to humanity, the more you're going to be compensated for that, because money is a compensation for service. So when he says ask, don't be afraid to ask for what you want, but be prepared to pay the price. And the price is that you're going to have to give back in service to humanity equal proportions what you ask for in material possession. And that's fine. That's an equal exchange, if you ask me. Like, if you want to be a millionaire, which you might do or you might not do, I don't know, and you want to do it through creating this holistic healing business and this yoga practice, then you're going to have to find ways to create $1 million a year of service. And that's an amazing thing, because what that means is you can reach, influence, and positively impact on a huge number of people, a huge part of humanity. Your footprint is going to become like, the more you ask for, the bigger your footprint is going to become, if you operate in harmony with universal law. Because if you don't, you won't get it. If you do, you'll get everything you ask for, but what will happen is you will have to contribute to the creation of the world. You will have to become an active distributor of this divine power that is bringing about the manifestation of evolution. And if you're doing it from the light, if you're doing it as a light worker, then you're bringing light to the world, and you should be richly rewarded. And it says that you will be richly rewarded. And anybody that looks at you and says you're materialistic, you're not spiritual, you're lacking in happiness, doesn't understand what they're talking about. They're coming from this place of neither understanding nor practicing faith. This is why, if we go back to the beginning here, make up your mind to read this chapter over and over 100 times if necessary, until you feel deep inside that you really comprehend this. If you fail to do this, then nothing else is going to work for you. If you don't, let's go back to where's my diagram? Here we go. Emotional involvement. Are you seeing the stick person here?
Not yet.
Okay, hang on. Let me reshare. You have to get this into this part of the mind, the subconscious part of the mind. You're working with an operating system right now, and that operating system was installed from social conditioning, from all the events of your early life that shaped your view of the world. If you want your world to change, you have to change that conditioning. And as an adult, as an intelligent adult, as an adult with awareness, you can decide. This is what he's saying in Think and Grow Rich, that we can decide. We can use faith, we can use auto-suggestion to get the job done with this, to get this new idea into the subconscious mind. And as soon as it's in the subconscious mind, it's being communicated with God. And once you're communicating with God, then you're going to that's when you're working in harmony with these laws. So everything that we're talking about here today, it has to be a knowing. In the heart of your being, it has to be a part of your makeup. You have to feel that in you and know that your faith is just a part of your makeup. You know that if you follow this process, that you're going to get cooperation with God and infinite intelligence, whatever you call it. It has to become a part of your operating system. And the way to do that is to read the same thing over and over and over again, to listen to the same thing over and over and over again, and to have the same thought over and over and over again. Because, like Napoleon Hill says in this chapter, a person eventually comes to believe whatever they tell themselves. To know it's true on a conscious level is one thing, and this is what gets me. it blows my mind on a conscious level. But then to operate from belief is having faith in the unknown, having faith in the unseen. And that's the hardest thing in the world for a person to do, is to believe in the unknown, to put their faith in what they can't see. But when you can reach a point where you can do that, then everything becomes possible for you, because you can say, I don't know how this is going to happen, but God's on my team and he does know. All I have to do is have belief and faith, and I have absolute belief and faith that it's going to happen. And the more that you do it, the more that you operate this, and the more things do start to happen, the stronger your faith is going to be. And rather than having this self-doom fulfilling cycle, you're going to have, a self-creation fulfilling cycle, where you become the master of your own destiny, where you create your kingdom of heaven on earth, not just for you, but for everybody that you come into contact with. And for me, that's an amazing thing. That's something worth sharing with anybody who's willing to listen or who's ready to listen.
That is. And that's why I can't wait to happen. I can't wait for it to fully be manifested in life.
So let's just have a quick look where we've got to on this chapter.
And we get done before I get out of here. I got to go reprint this, so I'll have it at my next destination.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap up.
I really want to be able to dig into this more today.
I'm going to wrap up very shortly here. So here you go. This is the end of the chapter. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. So the first law of the universe is that everything is just is. Everything is just energy. Perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy just is. Energy moves into form, through form, out of form. Something is born, something exists, something dies. It doesn't die, it just transmutes into something else. In the beginning there was the word. In the beginning there was energy. And the energy was God, and the energy is God. And the energy the word became flesh. The energy became manifest into physical reality. That first statement in the Gospel of John, in the beginning there was the word, is the explanation of the perpetual transmutation of energy, written in a different way, that could be translated for 2,000 years plus. That energy is just is. As it flows into your, here we go, we're going to do some speed teaching here. Here we go. This is it. This is this energy. It's ever present in all places at all times. All the energy there ever was, ever will be, and ever has been is in everywhere at all times. It says the world was created in 7 days. The world was created in 7 days, but that's the energy was created in 7 days. That world can perpetually transmutate into all sorts of different manifestations, but it's only a perpetual transmutation of creation. It's not a new creation. It's just a transmutation. So this energy comes into you, into your conscious part of your mind. You form that with your imagination, with your thoughts, into something concrete. You get emotionally involved with it. That's the faith element. It moves it into the subconscious part of the mind, which moves it back to communication with spirit. That spirit then brings everything into your experience that you need, so that through your action, you can bring it into reality. And all you have to do is look around you and see that everything in man's world first existed in man's mind. Everything that is around you is a perpetual transmutation of energy, and it's transmuted through this mental process. So that's a beautiful thing. So to wrap up this week, I'm going to quickly share my screen again. So many different things open here. Where are we? Here we go.
Well, I'm glad we got to talk today. I missed you last week.
I know. I'm not here next week either. I'm going to Paris for a event with one of my colleagues to the Ritz Hotel in Paris.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'll be really nice.
So I'm taking my girlfriend.
At the Ritz too. Look at you.
I know. Well, here's the thing. we only get, I was saying to my girlfriend, like, if you want to know how well you're doing, look around you. And I said to my girls, well, I was thinking to myself, actually, I was saying, well, am I, like, it's easy to beat up on yourself and say things aren't happening as quickly as I want them to, things are not going as well as they should be. But through the law of vibration, through the law of attraction, we can only experience what we are in harmonious vibration with. The reason that you're here and we're talking is because we're in harmonious vibration with each other. So I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to be in Paris at the Ritz Hotel. What the hell am I in vibration with? I'm like, if I need to know whether or not I'm doing well for myself, I'm at the Ritz in Paris.
Right.
That has to be, that's the reflection of my vibration.
That is awesome, Corey. You have fun.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. So this is I put these modules together here in my drive, where we've got different, like, you've got your different elements here from what we've been working on over the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I put into here this creating mental freedom series, which are audio recordings from Bob Proctor. So there's 22 different audio recordings here, which is like a $300 program. So you should have a link to those, which you can download. These are all like kind of podcasts on the kind of topics we've been talking about. So module 4, what I've done is I've got my notes here. So when you read the book, the chapter, you can go over my notes as well and have a look at kind of my take from the chapter, and you can accept that, or you can add your own to that.
Okay.
I've added in here chapter 3 from the Think and Grow Rich. So this is the chapter on faith, which this chapter is amazing. I love this. I've read it probably about 30 times now. So you've got that chapter in there on faith from Think and Grow Rich. And then in the chapter on faith, he talks about self-confidence. And he says that if you take a mental inventory of your assets and liabilities, then you'll find that a lack of self-confidence is your biggest mental liability. And he gives you a self-confidence formula here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step formula for developing self-confidence. He says that self-confidence can be developed in the same way as faith and all of this other stuff. So I've put the self-confidence formula in there for you as well, which is also included in the chapter. So I'll send you a link to that, all of that stuff. So I'm putting loads of stuff in here for you as we go through this. So I want you to have loads.
I have a lot I can do for the next 2 weeks till I talk to you again, huh?
What can you do?
I have a lot I can do between now and 2 weeks when I talk to you again.
Yeah. The thing to do is just a little bit every day. Don't overwhelm yourself. The key is to compounding this over time. So just take 10 minutes every day to read a little bit. And if you find, if in the book you find a paragraph that you really like, just keep reading the same paragraph. Because what you're doing, every time you read it, it's going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And one day you'll go, oh my God, that's me now. The old you will be gone. That's the law of sacrifice. The old lower nature of your personality will be sacrificed for a higher natured part of your personality, an enlightened part of your personality. And that's the resurrection. That's the death of the old for making way for the new. It's like the you of today is sacrificed so that the you of tomorrow can come into existence. And the you of tomorrow is a more enlightened, expanded, aware, conscious being. And you're one step closer to that light that you came from. And with that, it brings you more love, joy, happiness. Like every step you get closer to that light, you just become more happy and content and fulfilled and grateful and full of praise and love. So Have you got any questions for me before I let you go and have your breakfast?
No, not at all. I'm just going to go, and I'm just eager to get this workbook printed off because I've been wanting to do some work in it, and
Yeah.
that's my goal today, is to get this inventory done on the computer for work and to get some work done in this You Were Born Rich.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Agatha.
You as well, Corey. You have a good time next weekend. I look forward to speaking to you
I'll see you in
2 Sundays from now.
I'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'll let you know how we got on. Thank you.
Yes, let me know how it goes. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, Corey.